0 o'clock. Opening the internet you use every day, scrolling through social media, watching videos, sending emails, represents less than 4% of all data that exists online. 4%. The rest sits beneath the surface, hidden, encrypted, silent. Most people have heard of the dark web, the illegal marketplaces, the anonymous forums, the places law enforcement struggles to penetrate, but even seasoned investigators, even veteran hackers who have spent decades crawling through the deepest corridors of the underground internet speak in hushed tones about something further down, something that sits at the very bottom of the digital ocean, a layer so deep that reaching it may require computational power that does not yet exist on this planet. They call it Mariana's Web, named after the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on Earth. And just like that black, pressurized abyss at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, almost nothing is known about what truly lives inside it. Tonight, we go as deep as anyone has dared to go. 2 o'clock, the layers of the internet explained. To understand Mariana's Web, you first need to understand the architecture of the internet itself. Researchers and cybersecurity professionals typically describe the internet as existing in distinct layers, often visualized as an iceberg. At the very top, gleaming in sunlight, sits the surface web. Google, YouTube, Amazon, everything indexed, searchable, and visible to the average person. This layer, despite feeling enormous to most users, is almost laughably small in the context of the total internet. Beneath it lies the deep web. This is not inherently sinister. It includes private databases, medical records, banking systems, academic archives, government files, content that simply isn't indexed by search engines. Password protected. Hidden not for malicious reasons, but for privacy and security. Deeper still, we reach the dark web. This is where the reputation gets dark. Accessible only through specialized browsers like Tor, the dark web hosts encrypted anonymous networks. It is here that illegal marketplaces have flourished and collapsed. It is here that whistleblowers have communicated, that dissidents have organized under authoritarian regimes, and that some of the internet's most disturbing content has been documented to exist. Law enforcement agencies around the world actively patrol this layer. Arrests happen, markets get seized, people disappear into prison cells. But beneath even the dark web, according to the theory, the layers continue downward, and the deeper you go, the stranger and more inaccessible they become. Mariana's Web is said to sit at the very bottom, layer 8, the final abyss, 4 o'clock, the origin of the legend. The mythology of Mariana's Web did not emerge from a government leak or a whistleblower confession. It emerged, as many of the internet's darkest legends do, from the anonymous boards of 4chan. Somewhere around 2011 and 2012, posts began circulating describing a hidden layer of the internet so deeply encrypted that conventional computers could not crack it. The encryption, according to these posts, was based on something called polymeric Falsigall derivation, a theoretical quantum computing algorithm that, at the time, existed only as mathematical speculation. To access Mariana's Web, the theory claimed, you would need a quantum computer capable of calculations that current hardware cannot perform, and so the layer remained sealed, inaccessible, a locked vault at the bottom of the digital ocean. What made the theory spread so rapidly was not just its specificity. It named systems, named algorithms, described technical processes, but also what it claimed was inside. Because the legend didn't just say Mariana's Web was inaccessible. It said it was inaccessible because of what it contained. And that is where the story becomes truly disturbing. 6 o'clock. What is allegedly inside? According to the various threads, posts, and testimonies that have circulated across dark forums and internet mystery communities over the past decade, Mariana's Web is not simply a collection of hidden files or encrypted servers. The legend describes something far more unsettling. Some accounts claim it houses the collective intelligence of human history, ancient texts, lost knowledge, suppressed historical records that powerful organizations have deliberately buried beneath layers of quantum encryption, ensuring that the average person will never access them. Other accounts go darker, much darker. There are claims that Mariana's Web contains the central coordination hub of every major conspiracy on Earth, the actual control systems behind governments, financial markets, and global power structures. That it is not merely a place where information is stored, but a place where decisions are made. A digital seat of a shadow government operating entirely below the threshold of human detection. Then there are the accounts that abandon the geopolitical and drift into something altogether more disturbing. Some users have claimed that within Mariana's web exist files so psychologically devastating, images, videos, audio recordings, that exposure to them causes genuine, irreversible psychological trauma. There are stories of individuals who allegedly found partial gateways, who accessed fragments of content from these layers, and who subsequently vanished. Accounts deleted, digital identities erased. In some cases, people claiming these individuals disappeared in the physical world as well. These claims are unverified. They are, by every reasonable measure, impossible to confirm, but they persist. And in the world of internet mysteries, persistence carries its own disturbing weight. 8 o'clock. The researchers and the rabbit holes. What makes Mariana's web more than just an internet campfire story is the community that has grown around it. Over the past decade, serious researchers, cryptographers, cybersecurity professionals, and independent investigators have attempted to parse the legend and determine where mythology ends and potential reality begins. The polymeric Falzagall derivation algorithm cited in the original posts has been analyzed by mathematicians. The consensus is that it is not a recognized cryptographic system in any published academic literature. It does not appear in peer-reviewed journals. It does not appear in DARPA archives. It was, most experts conclude, invented, a piece of technical-sounding fiction designed to give the legend legitimacy. And yet, quantum encryption is real. The concept of computationally inaccessible systems, networks that can only be breached by hardware that does not yet exist, is not science fiction. It is an active field of research. The NSA has acknowledged the threat of quantum decryption to existing secure systems. Major world powers are racing to develop quantum computing capabilities precisely because of what those capabilities would unlock. So while Mariana's web as described may be fictional in its specifics, the concept it represents, a layer of digital reality sealed behind a computational barrier, is not entirely without foundation in legitimate science. And this is perhaps what makes the legend so enduring. It sits precisely at the intersection of the verifiable and the impossible, close enough to reality to feel plausible, far enough from it that no one can definitively prove it does not exist. 10 o'clock. The unsolved core. Here is the question that keeps researchers and mystery enthusiasts awake at night. If Mariana's web is a fabrication, a piece of collaborative fiction born on an anonymous image board, then why has no one been able to conclusively close the case? Every great internet hoax has eventually been debunked with something definitive, a confession, a source document, an identifiable creator who steps forward. Mariana's web has none of these things. The original posts have been traced, studied, and analyzed. The usernames attached to them lead nowhere. The accounts vanished. The IP addresses, when investigated, resolved to nothing useful. And in the years since, the legend has not faded the way most internet myths do. It has grown. It has mutated. New threads appear. New accounts surface with new supposed evidence. The community around it has expanded across platforms, spawning dedicated subreddits, Discord servers, and YouTube channels, some of them with hundreds of thousands of followers devoted entirely to the investigation of what lies beneath the indexed internet. And buried within all of this noise, occasionally, something surfaces that gives even the most skeptical researchers pause. A cryptic file shared through encrypted channels, a set of coordinates embedded in image metadata that leads to nothing identifiable on any map. A short audio recording, distorted and looped, that audio engineers have analyzed without reaching consensus on its origin or meaning. None of it proves anything. But none of it fully collapses the mystery either, and that ambiguity, that deliberate yawning uncertainty, is perhaps the most disturbing thing about Mariana's web. 12 o'clock. Closing the Mariana Trench, the physical one, sits nearly 11 kilometers below the surface of the Pacific Ocean. For most of human history, we had no idea what existed at that depth. We assumed, because we could not go there, that perhaps nothing did. And then we sent machines into the darkness, and we found life, bizarre, impossible-seeming life, creatures adapted to pressures that should have been lethal, organisms thriving in an environment that every assumption told us should be empty. The point is this: absence of access is not absence of existence. We do not know what is at the bottom of the digital ocean. We do not know